repurposed by the pandemic. Well, over my shoulder here is what we call the Jones cabin. The lower part of it are these old logs. My relative, Mr. Jones, came up here after the Civil War, built a little small shack out of logs, hut out of logs, had his fireplace outside, his cooking outside. A very rough, single man's place. Very old logs, and Uncle Clifford and Aunt Judy took those logs out of the holler down below where I am and made a little woodshed out of them. Didn't have to chop them up and anything. Just replace the logs as they were. Now it's only the lower half of the building. They had to build it up in order to make it usable. But those logs, just as they were put together again here. Now on the other shoulder, over my other shoulder, is the main cabin. It's lovely. And those came out of what we call the Testerman's home, another relative there. They had built up a cabin maybe 100 years ago, and then they put a white house around it, built a house around it. And so when they tore that house down, Uncle Clifford said, I'll give you $200 for all those logs. And he took those logs, knowing they'd been a relative. He cut them up, and you can see the difference on the end of those logs in both buildings. And you can see how they've been sawn and hewn, chopped up a little bit. But they can be then repurposed for a really lovely cabin. It has a bunch of bedrooms in it, and bathrooms, and it's a lovely, beautiful view. It's a beautiful structure, and the family's going to enjoy it for generations to come. And those logs will have new value and new life. Whereas the others, they're rough, hewn on the end, and that's just a little woodshed, not much to it. The pandemic is sort of cutting us all up, isn't it? And some of us, it's tearing me up, but I don't want to be cut up too much. I want to come out of this, and I just want to be put back together the way I was. And you look in the Bible, God repurposed people through traumas all the time. Poor little Jacob had a dream he was going to help his family, lead his family, got sold into slavery. Talk about cut up, chopped up, beaten up. And it took years and years and years before he could fully be repurposed as sort of the vice pharaoh of Egypt, and he did save his family. David went from being a little shepherd boy to being a hero and killing Goliath, to being in the royal palace, Saul's palace, and then Saul got paranoid about him and tried to pin him to the wall with a spear and made him into a renegade. And he spent years being an outlaw, building up his leadership skills, though, of other outlaws and becoming a leader of men and not just a solo hero. Got chopped up a lot and was willing to be put back together any way God wanted him to be. Now, when we get chopped up by the pandemic, hacked up by all the uncertainty, we're just going to want to go back and be like we were before. Or we're going to say, Lord, you got something new in mind. I'm willing to be a part of something new. I understand I might have to be shaped a little more and hacked on a little more by life, but I'd like to be a part of something grand and magnificent and new and fresh and better. I don't want to go back to being what I was. Be open to what God's saying through this pandemic and through this uncertainty and trauma and turmoil of this time. Maybe He's trying to repurpose you and repurpose me in magnificent and lovely ways that will bless people for generations to come. Just a thought, just another lesson from the mountains.
Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me. Waiting for change to come, knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me. Your promise still stands, great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands, this is my confidence, you've never failed. my heart will sing your praise again. And Jesus, you're still enough. Keep me within your love. My heart will sing your praise again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. I've seen you move the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way, you moved the mountains, and I believe I'll see you do it again. You made a way where there was no way, and I believe I'll see you do it again. I'll see you do it again. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness.